You got to talk about QAnon like you're like having a healthy conversation with your girlfriend. You can't be like, you always do this. You never do. It's like, I feel like sometimes you say baseless things that aren't true, but I know that you mean well. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's how you got to do it. Hey, it's the Goblin Queen. I got another thing I wanted to share. Now, okay, so this actually goes back to something that we were talking about with Hillary, right? Or that she's talking about Pizzagate. So this is when Boebert was interviewing her. There was a part
that have been made
here
against you with
that
respect.
really gave me flashbacks to, like, 2018 era, even later, people talking about QAnon and Pizzagate.
Speeches and interviews, you described Pizzagate as a baseless conspiracy theory, alleging you and others ran a child sex trafficking ring from a Washington pizzeria basement.
Anyway, Boebert asked her like 4 questions about Pizzagate, and Hillary just sort of sits there like, oh, you're one of these fucking people. Okay, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. She doesn't say anything. And then here's where she finally answers.
Correct.
Pizzagate was totally made up. It was an outrageous allegation that ended up hurting a number of people, that caused a deranged young man to show up with his assault rifle and shoot up a local pizzeria. I can't believe you're even referencing it. You should be
You should be ashamed of yourself, is what she's going to say. Now, all right. I did a video about Pizzagate. A lot of people think I'm a satanic, baby harvesting, demon worshipping person because of that video, where I say that like Pizzagate is like mostly complete bullshit. But I'm always careful to point out there are real things about Pizzagate. One of them is Jeffrey Epstein. For Hillary to be during a deposition about her very real connections to Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein and her husband's connections to the same, for her to say Pizzagate was completely made up, I find that offensive. Okay, as a guy who has also had some harsh words for Pizzagate and its followers, I find it offensive, and I find it like almost unbelievable for anyone to say it was completely made up. It was mostly made up, but the germ of truth at its center, we can't ignore this anymore. This is true. There really was it wasn't satanic, but there was a elite pedophile cabal. Let's call it that. That was a real thing. All right. Now, this got me thinking. Let's go back to 2018 to, let's say, 2020 or so, and look at the coverage of QAnon. Now, QAnon existed since 2017, and it was pretty big, like right away. It existed in like November. It started almost weirdly on the anniversary of Pizzagate. The first Q post was on the anniversary of the day that James Comey reopened the investigation into Hillary Clinton's emails, which led directly into Pizzagate. Like Pizza Week, the biggest week in Pizzagate, in my opinion, started like the day after that. QAnon started like a year to the day after that. But the mainstream press kind of ignored it, which makes sense because it's a fringe conspiracy theory, right? And like up until QAnon, conspiracy theories were not this big. No conspiracy has ever been as big as QAnon was. And QAnon getting big was kind of what led us into this very conspiracy-pilled world that we now live in. QAnon being like a, sequel extension to Pizzagate in many ways. It's almost like not even worth differentiating them because they are so similar. So, then Hillary also says like, oh, these QAnon people in that interview. And listen, I am not defending QAnon. It is bullshit. QAnon is bullshit. Pizzagate is bullshit. But they are both based on an element, a strange but true thing, right? Like it's based on something that is absolutely real. Mark, QAnon is honestly how I got introduced to Epstein. It would be interesting to look at all Epstein coverage before Julie K. Brown pieces in late 2018. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there are a bunch of examples. Maybe I'll do a stream on just that because I think that would be super interesting to look at. I don't think the Epstein thing counts as part of Pizzagate. I would probably say the same thing. I get what you're saying, but it literally was a part of Pizzagate. Epstein was mentioned in the very first ever Pizzagate post by Carmen Katz. She says, Clinton and his friends on the Lolita Express. If you watch the Alex Jones InfoWars episodes from that week, he constantly is mentioning the Lolita Express, Epstein, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, blah, 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 the flight logs. Roger Stone talked about Epstein in like 2015, like even before all this. Like Epstein was definitely a part of it. Not everyone mentioned Epstein, but like a lot of the biggest people involved in it did. What's his name? Eric Prince directly mentioned Epstein. He did lie and say that Hillary Clinton had ridden on the Lolita Express like 9 times or something like that. Steve Pachenik, like, you watch my video about it if you haven't seen it. I got a video, and if you watch it, there are a bunch of mentions of Epstein. But anyway, that's Pizzagate. QAnon, again, mentioned Epstein a lot. They had a photo of Bill Clinton with a young woman who they were like, oh, this is on Epstein's jet. It wasn't on Epstein's jet. It was on Ron Burkle's jet. Now, yeah, I get what you're saying, Viv Von Voom. I'm not trying to lend any credence to 90% of the things that, QAnon or Pizzagate talk about. I'm just saying, well, here, I'll show you what I'm saying. I've collected a bunch of articles from around this time in 2018, 2022 time period. And they're all like QAnon explained. What is QAnon? And I've also arranged them in the shape of the letter Q. Isn't that cute? Isn't that Q? All right. So let's get into it. Here is a Guardian article. Actually, it's a podcast. And I want to point out something about the language that people use here. I think that'll make things make sense, Vin Von Boom. At least what I'm trying to say. So this is from 2020, September 21st, 2020. The growing influence of the QAnon conspiracy theory. This is after Epstein had died in prison. But still a lot of people didn't know about Epstein. Now there's no mention of Epstein in this. Here we go. The Guardian US tech reporter Julia Carey Wong talks to Anushka Astanta about the rise of QAnon, an online conspiracy theory. QAnon followers believe that the world is run by a secret cabal of Satan-worshipping Democrats and Hollywood celebrities who are engaged in wide-scale child trafficking, pedophilia, and cannibalism. Despite there being no evidence to support any of the claims, the visibility of the movement has surged. Now, I find this, even at the time, even in 2020, I would have been really annoyed by this wording, right? QAnon followers believe the world is run by a secret cabal of Democrats and celebrities who are engaged in child trafficking and pedophilia, despite there being no evidence to support any of the claims. It's like, actually, by this time in 2020, there was a lot of evidence to support some of these claims. There was. Now, this article or any of the articles I'm about to show doesn't mention, Epstein at all. Epstein isn't mentioned in these. But, by 2018, when QAnon started blowing up, that's when Julie K. Brown's Perversion of Justice series was kicking off. Epstein gets arrested in 2019. Acosta gets fired. This was a thing. This was in the air. And yet, this is how people talk about it. Here's a thing from Politico. Joe Biden said, QAnon is bizarre and embarrassing. Supporters should seek mental health treatment. Honestly, he's not wrong about any of that. But what does it say in here? The QAnon narrative involves cabals of pedophiles corrupting the federal government. Now, that is true so far, pretty much. Not that it's the narrative, but that was actually happening. And combating the president. Now, part is not true, okay? This is where QAnon does veer off into complete, insane, stupid bullshit, where it's like, there's a cabal of pedophiles infiltrating the government, and the only one trying to stop them is Donald Trump. That's the stupid part, right? But look at how Politico writes about it. It is entirely fictitious and has been deemed a domestic terror threat by the FBI. That's true. QAnon was officially, named a domestic terror threat by the FBI, I think 1 month after, was it before he killed himself or after he killed himself? It was around the same time that Epstein killed himself. I mean, I don't know, speculating here, but my impression is that they were like, oh, fuck, people are going to be really interested in QAnon shit now that Epstein's been whatever. The QAnon's a domestic terror threat. I feel like it was a last minute effort to be like, oh, fuck, we can't just ignore this thing. We actually have to kind of fight it. You know what I mean? What in God's name are we doing? Look at how it makes us look around the world. It's mortifying. It's embarrassing. It's dangerous, Biden said. The president doesn't know any better, which he has to know better than, my Lord. We're in much more trouble than I ever thought we were. This can't go on. This cannot go on. It's a deconstruction of our democratic system. Come on. I really mean this. No, I'm serious. I don't know. At one point in time, I had a decent Biden impression. But yeah, here's a quote from Biden that sort of fits into the thing that I'm talking about. The words of a president matter. Even a lousy president, Biden said, gives encouragement to people who are spouting irrational views. No one has even come close to presuming or showing ever existed. And it's again, a lot of not all of it, not even most of it, but you cannot say None of it has been proven. Come on, man. QAnon, man. That's not even, come on. I'm serious. QAnon, that's not real. Here's Southern Poverty Law Center, something like that. SPLC. QAnon is the umbrella term for a sprawling spiderweb of right-wing internet conspiracy theories with anti-Semitic and anti-LGBTQ elements that falsely claim the world is run by a secret cabal of pedophiles who worship Satan and are plotting against President Trump. QAnon believers falsely claim the cabal is abducting children to kill them and harvest their blood for a chemical known as adrenochrome, which is used to extend their lives. Again, no mention of Epstein, even though this is in 2020. And this one has got to be 2022, right? Because it's about Biden. Yeah, this is also 2020, right? Like that's again, not how I would describe it. I mean, yeah, they're not worshiping Satan. They're not drinking adrenochrome. True. All that stuff is true. BuzzFeed News. What is QAnon? Here's what you need to know about the baseless. There's no base to it. There's no base. It exists all on its own. It's completely false. Mega conspiracy theory. For the most part, the nonsensical conspiracy theory's adherents were largely confined to fever swamp corners of the internet. That's changing and things are getting dangerous. Wow, okay, BuzzFeed. Man, remember BuzzFeed articles? There was like a weird moment in time where BuzzFeed used to just do like, top 10 reasons why the Harry Potter is the coolest one, or whatever. And then they were like, now we're going to do news. But there was a weird like transitionary period where they didn't quite know how to do it, I guess. They had all these like listicle writers. And this is one of these weird ones. QAnon is a nonsensical and evidence-free mega conspiracy theory that claims Donald Trump was appointed president by the military to save the nation from pedophilia ring. Okay, that part is completely stupid. But again, you see what I'm saying? You cannot talk about QAnon like this. A nonsensical and evidence-free mega conspiracy? Like, you can say that it's bullshit. You can say that it's dangerous. Yes, all these things are true. You can say that it's a sign of like failing mental health programs. It absolutely is. But you cannot call it evidence-free. Because here's the thing. Okay, let me explain. I don't know if Vin Von Voom, if you're, I know you're like a little reluctant here. Maybe this will explain what I'm trying to say here. Like, here's the problem with talking about QAnon like this, or Pizzagate, or any of these conspiracy theories really like this, where it's like there's absolutely nothing true about it. Is this in 2020 as well? Did I check already? So this is 2018. This is around the same time that the Julie K. Brown articles are coming out. There's like coverage of Epstein. This is before Epstein's gone to prison. This is long after, like 2016 Pizzagate era, when already there was people, at least like, in the QAnon base of people, 4chan, whatever, Roger Stone, InfoWars, we're talking about Epstein. You can't be saying it's evidence-free, nonsensical, baseless, because like, let's say somebody sends this article to one of their Q-pilled family members. They're just going to think like, oh, wow, it doesn't even mention Epstein? Wow, so the only place that I can hear about Epstein is like the Miami Herald or 4chan or 8chan or whatever. Like, it's like, this, talking about things like this is like denying that there's anything to QAnon pushes people towards QAnon because you are lying. This is not true. And it gives people a reason to say, oh, the mainstream media is whatever. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? I don't know. To me, I feel like it makes sense. But, the baseless conspiracy theories adherents were largely confined as fever swamp corners of the internet. All right. I got more of these. This is how QAnon was talked about for a long time. This is 2018 from Vice, A Guide to QAnon, the new king of right-wing conspiracy theories, based on Roseanne Barr, when Roseanne Barr got fired. Remember that? This one's not as bad, I don't think. But it still doesn't mention Epstein. Who or what is QAnon? Just asking that question sucks you into a world that's like Pizzagate on bath salts, a galaxy-brained, 4chan-bred conspiracy theory that has apparently convinced an alarming number of adults that all kinds of preposterous things are true. Now, that's not, strictly speaking, false. This one's not as bad as some of the other ones, I don't think. But still, I don't know. You can't quite say that. I don't know. Like, I need, when we talk about conspiracy theories, I think the smart thing to do, the strategic thing to do, if we are actually trying to make the world a better place, make people less pilled on this like nonsense, the way to do this is to acknowledge the parts that are true. We cannot keep saying, oh, it's all fake. It's 100% made up. There's zero truth to it. Unless we're talking about something where there actually is zero truth, right? Then we can say that. But I don't know. I would never describe QAnon like this. QAnon. Now this one I thought was, this one's kind of promising. Like the title here. QAnon, what's the truth? behind a pro-Trump conspiracy theory. MAGA Q storm, QAnon revolution. Where we go one, we go all. And it's a snake and a Q symbol. The Gadsden flag, but I don't know, Q'd. A sprawling, endlessly complicated pro-Trump conspiracy theory has jumped from fringe social media sites to mainstream attention. That's true. That's pretty much how I would describe it. What is it? Here we go. The baseless core of the QAnon story is that the Mueller investigation, this is not the core of it, but this was, I guess this was from 2018, when this was like a big thing that Q was talking about. The Mueller investigation into alleged collusion between Trump campaign and Russia is actually an investigation into global elites, and that the president is masterminding a secret plan to arrest top politicians and Hollywood stars for corruption and child abuse. Yeah, I would not say that was the core of Q, but that was a part of it, definitely. They did think that is a stupid ass fucking thing to believe. They're seeing like Mueller do the investigation into Trump-Russia collusion, and they're like, actually, he's working with Trump in secret. They're both trying to find the evil satanic pedophiles. And now that's stupid. That's a stupid thing to think. You sort of have to be denying the evidence of your own eyes and reality to believe that was ever the case. But I will gently point out that the libs thought that Mueller was their hero and was going to absolutely kill Trump, which was similarly wrong. I mean, I would say it's less misguided and whatever, but like the libs loved Mueller. They were there was like, it's Mueller time. That was like a t-shirt. Mueller, she wrote, still a really big Twitter account podcast for libs to be like, yeah, Mueller's going to get him. And now they're like, we still don't like Trump, but whatever about the Mueller thing, but that's our name now. So, like everybody likes to believe shit that conforms to their own like preferred version of reality. QAnon guys thought that Trump was going to fight the pedophiles. Libs thought that Mueller was their ally. Whereas in reality, the guy did a bunch of research, kind of found that Trump was probably guilty of this, bounced. Bill Barr read the thing and was like totally exonerated, completely outright lied about what Mueller had written. Mueller was just like, oh, he's going to do something like that? All right, whatever. Doesn't speak up. Months later, the shit comes out and it's already too late. It's already fixed in fucking public's mind that like, actually there's nothing to the Mueller report. Yeah, Mueller was not your friend. Mueller was a former fucking head of the FBI. He's a piece of shit. He's a Republican. Why do people think he was going to not help Trump? Anyway, Fox. QAnon, scarily popular pro-Trump conspiracy theory explained. This is from 2020. How conspiracy theory that Trump and Robert Mueller were saving the world from cannibal pedophiles got from 4chan to Trump rallies to Donald Trump himself. So again, they're fixated on this thing. Followers of the conspiracy theory QAnon believe in a lot of things. There's never been chaos in Donald Trump's White House. The stories are just cover to let Trump and previously special counsel Robert Mueller do their work to expose thousands of pedophiles hidden in plain sight, including Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton, and Barack Obama, and Tom Hanks, and Chrissy Teigen. They'll soon be under arrest, or perhaps they're already on their way to Guantanamo Bay. Their crimes? Torturing and murdering children and then harvesting a chemical from their blood. It's an all-encompassing conspiracy theory that has one overarching, and if you're a Trump supporter, hopeful message. Trump is in complete control of everything, and against true evil, he's standing up for all that is good and right. Okay, I actually don't have much of a problem with this. This is mostly fine, but I would always prefer, and nobody did this, but I'd always prefer when you're talking about QAnon or Pizzagate to at least spend 1 second being like, well, they are right about some of it. Like the stuff about Epstein, that is true. And I feel like, you wouldn't see an article like any of these nowadays. But Hillary Clinton still feels good saying like, oh, Pizzagate was completely made up. The psychology of QAnon. Why do seemingly sane people believe bizarre conspiracy theories? And I would say partially because of the way that he's covered here. If it sounds crazy, that's because it is. The mostly right-wing conspiracy theory makes a series of mind-blowing allegations that include Democrat-run Centers for Pedophiles and satanic cults. The theory first appeared on various online message boards like 8chan, where first appeared on 4chan, but okay, I guess that is an online message board like 8chan, where followers shared breadcrumbs, clues about the dark and powerful forces that supposedly run their country. The theories are so wild at this point that some conspiracy-friendly members of the far right are pushing back on them and even banning them from popular online forums. We don't know which person or persons originated the theory yet, or what their motivations may have been. What we do know is the theory is spreading, and generally speaking, why? Yeah, here's from Time magazine. Here's why experts worry about the popularity of QAnon's conspiracy theory. The theory which originated from anonymous messages posted online, true, purports to explain everything from the sinking of the Titanic, oh yeah, that was a part of it actually, to the appointment of special counsel Robert Mueller, weaving them into a grand narrative where President Donald Trump is a secret mastermind and hero. Q's online clues, called breadcrumbs, are so vague they can be hard to follow, but there has been no evidence to prove them. This is in 2018. Still, there had been some of it had already been proven by that point. I don't know, guys. Am I being too much of a stickler here for am I being like grammar police? I don't think it's right. It's not right. It's not just not correct. It's just morally wrong to write articles like this. It hurts society not to acknowledge what the conspiracy theorists got right. You can still say they're dangerous and crazy and whatever. Yes, absolutely. But you can't say that they're 100% evidence-free, baseless, no evidence support. There's nothing. All right, now I got a quote to read from, I don't know if anybody knows Sarah Kendzior. She is really good. I think she's like a very smart political commentator. Highly recommend her stuff. This book, They Knew, is really good. She has another book called Hiding in Plain Sight about Donald Trump. That's like amazing. I mean, this book's amazing too. And this one is not just about Epstein. It's about a lot of different things. The title of it, They Knew, How a Culture of Conspiracy Keeps America Complacent. Well, it's kind of a surprising title, right? It's like, why would conspiracies keep people complacent? Why would it cause people to be like, apathetic and not actually make change? If you believe that the elites are evil, whatever, the deep states try to kill us, why would that make you complacent? Wouldn't that make you activated to do something? Well, I think she makes a good argument in this book that that is not the case. And the conspiratorial culture actually fucks us. It makes us so that we can't get shit done. And so she talks about this phenomenon here. I wanted to read this quote. I think it's really good. All right, so here's what she says about this coverage. There's a difference between expecting corruption and accepting it. There is no reason that the Epstein case should not have been pursued, especially given that the methods used to suppress it are so predictable that officials should have anticipated working around them. It could have been pursued by officials working in good conscience, assuming there are some, and treated seriously as not only a moral horror, but a national security threat. The refusal of officials to pursue it for decades on end, their utter disregard for accountability, their determination to remove the possibility of justice from the American imagination, set the stage for further acts of elite brutality. The hands-off approach was an ominous indicator of collusion. They were all in on it. The cover-up, if not the crimes. I like that sentence there. They're all in on it. The cover-up, if not the crimes. And that's, I think, true with people like, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton. Surely they know they have information that could have helped us. And yet they've said nothing about this shit. A case that should have been pursued with rigor by agents of the law was instead chased by citizens gripped by fury. So like part of the reason why people got obsessed with QAnon was this incredible frustration that I think all of us feel. Anyone who's, followed the Epstein case at all gets really frustrated by the lack of the pursuit of justice in this case and why these elites are just able to constantly get away with this bullshit, right? And August 19th, oh wow, it was even closer than I thought. 1 week before Epstein was declared dead, the FBI labeled QAnon a domestic terrorism threat. By the fall of 2020, QAnon had become a topic of mainstream conversation. So there we go. So that fits with the timeline of all these articles I found. 2018 to 2020. There is a template to how QAnon is described in the mainstream media, and it goes like this. QAnon followers believe that the world is run by a secret cabal of Satan-worshipping Democrats and Hollywood celebrities who are engaged in wide-scale child trafficking, pedophilia, and cannibalism. Despite there being no evidence to support any of the claims, the visibility of the movement has surged. This is from a September 2020 podcast on QAnon from The Guardian. So it was one of the ones I just read you. But it could be from any mainstream outlet due to its trademark use of absolutes. Right? It's like, despite there being no evidence to support any of the claims, like that's two absolutes. You know what I mean? You can't talk like that. Can't talk like that in a relationship. Can't talk like that about QAnon. All right? You know what I mean? Yeah, you got to talk about QAnon like you're like having a healthy conversation with your girlfriend. You can't be like, you always do this. You never do. It's like, I feel like sometimes you say baseless things that aren't true. But I know that you mean well, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's how you got to do it. There are decades of evidence for specific claims and no evidence for other claims. And that is why QAnon is such an effective propaganda apparatus and such a tragic one. We would be living in a safer world if QAnon were operating on pure invention instead of alternating between exposing real crimes and mixing the details of real crimes with fabricated stories or manipulative embellishments. Everything about QAnon is an indictment of a broken criminal justice system that not only refuses to indict a criminal elite, but sometimes joins them in the crimes. Read that again. Everything about QAnon is an indictment of a broken criminal justice system that not only refuses to indict a criminal elite, but the broken criminal justice system itself joins them in the crimes. Like, can we even say that the system is broken? It's just working as it's intended to. This is not a system designed to attack the rich and powerful. This is a system designed to uphold their wealth and power and privilege at the expense of all of us. There is a flip side to dropping a grain of truth in a morass of lies. On the one hand, people will believe all sorts of ridiculous things when you get one big thing right. See, I think that is so true. On the other, the key revelation will be dismissed as fake due to the terrible reputation of those who helped expose it. As a result, crimes that were painstakingly uncovered, like the Epstein crimes, will continue to go unpunished. And the greatest beneficiaries of all will be the criminals who coast on shattered trust and ruined reputations. What begins as preemptive narrative inversion turns into silence through social stigma. Preemptive narrative inversion being like basically Pizzagate, right? Like think about how, Trump was like, fuck, are they going to make fun of me for Epstein shit? Let's do that, but to Hillary. Or it's like when they attacked him for the Access Hollywood tape, where it's like, grab him by the pussy, I don't even wait, oh, they can't do anything. When you're rich, they let you do it, blah, blah, blah. Like, they were attacking him for being a rapist, right? And then he's like, actually, you're a rapist. Hillary's a rapist. Like, that was his narrative inversion there. Preemptive is more like when it's done not in a reactive way, but when you're anticipating being called out for being a rapist, you just accuse the other side of doing that. Anyway, what begins as preemptive narrative inversion turns into silence through social stigma, right? It's like, yes, as much as QAnon radicalized a bunch of MAGA people to turn MAGA into like an actual cult, like Trump is a golden god who's sent here by Jesus Christ to rescue us from the evil pedophile Hillary Clinton, right? A lot of people got radicalized by that. But then a lot of other people saw that and they were told, oh, it's all fake. All of that shit is made up. And I don't know about you guys. I've experienced situations where I'm talking about Epstein and people are like, that's fucking total bullshit, man. No, Bill Clinton was not on those planes. No, that's not a thing. No, dude, you're getting Q-pilled, man. You're spending too much time online, man. That's not true. Like, I don't know. I had that happen. And I think a lot of people believe that. And I think that helped suppress this actual story of a genuine miscarriage of justice involving elite pedophiles because it was associated with the QAnon bullshit. Like as much as QAnon believers were like, we got to save the children, that movement made it I wouldn't say it only helped, but it definitely helped the elite pedophiles that they were trying to target. Yeah. Oh yeah. Narrative inversion is Trump's favorite activity. Definitely like very, very big with people like Trump and Cohn and Roger Stone and, like all these kind of guys going like, I know you are. What am I? No, you're that. No, that's you. They love to do that shit. What begins as preemptive narrative inversion turns into silence through social stigma, much as those who raised the specter of Epstein in 2017. Okay, here we go. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Were dismissed as crazy Pizzagate people. Those who discuss criminal conspiracies and institutional cover-ups today are accused of sounding like QAnon. This is very useful to the criminal elite whom QAnon claims to despise. QAnon is a propaganda operation and QAnon is a cult, but above all, QAnon is an alibi. Ooh, bars. QAnon is an alibi. Sarah Kendzior, they knew how a culture of conspiracy keeps America complacent. Sarah Kendzior, Zed Library, E115, 117, Kindle edition. I have the book for real. I didn't just download this from Zed Library. I have the book. I recommend you buy it. It's good. Oh, I should have brought it in here so I could hold it up. This is just what automatically pops up when you copy and paste from Kindle. It shows you all that stuff. I buy books, guys. All right. Piracy is wrong. Now it seems like I don't have the book. I do have the book. But yeah, anyway, doesn't it kind of looks like a Q though, right? Is that cool? Did that turn out cool? Yeah, gang. It made me think about this sort of phenomenon when I was hearing Clinton respond to Boebert's admittedly fucking completely insane questions about Pizzagate and frazzle drip and shit, and Hillary being like, there's nothing real about Pizzagate. It's like, ma'am, you are at a Epstein deposition. You, at this point, you cannot plead ignorance. You know there was some real shit about Pizzagate. That's all I'm saying, all right? That's all I'm saying. I think some of the people that said I sounded like QAnon for talking about Epstein a few years ago now think Epstein was a cannibal. That's funny. So they've like lapped you. They've lapped you in their insaneness. At first they were like, or not insaneness, but their pilled nature. First they were like, nah, that's totally crazy, man. And now they're like, and he ate children too.